Hey everyone, Aaron here at Kite Paddle Surf, and I'm really excited to be doing a review with my good friend John, and we are going to be going over the brand new Ozone Zephyr released this last year, 17-meter kite. And John's been with us for a while. He is a team rider ambassador for Kite Paddle Surf, and we're just going to kind of talk about the kite, talk about John and why he uses this kite. So thank you for joining us, John.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, glad. So first question that people are gonna ask, why did you get a 17-meter kite?
Yeah, because it's so expensive. Well, the big kite really in Bellingham is pretty crucial for trying to get as many windy days as possible, or being out on the water as much as possible. In Bellingham, we get a lot of windy days, but we also get a fair amount of non-windy days. So like less than 13, 12 knots, and can't really fly my 11 or 12 at 10 or 11 knots.
Have you tried any other big kites before, like other than your 11 and 12?
Yeah, I tried the Code 14.
Okay.
Me and it didn't get along very well.
Okay.
It's just very grunty and wants to really just yank you. Yeah, and I was looking for a little smoother kites.
Perfect. Now let's talk about what type of riding you do with this kite.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
let's talk about it from your perspective, how you use your kite.
Yeah, I'm kind of unique, I guess, a little bit. I ride directional most of the time, only directional board. And with that said, this is, I think, a perfect pairing for that in low wind. You can still pop and do little ollies, and it's great for a nice little air kite. But yeah, no, around Bellingham Bay, it's great. I think anywhere in the San Juans, it'd be super fun.
5-strut kite. So does it feel at 5 struts, do you feel like it's heavy or not?
Yeah, that's a good question. You know, I mean, this is the new material, the Ultra X. Suppose I never rode the one previous to this. This comes in at 7.5 pounds, which on par, I think, is about the same weight as the new Code 14 meter.
I think that's right.
So, I mean,
pretty light.
This is a 17 meter, it's pretty light. And it really comes down to that, the struts in the leading edge when they modified that with the Ultra X. Only sell it with the Ultra X now. They don't even give you an option. And then also the lines are a little trimmer, so cut down that extra wind resistance too.
And then durability so far, how long have you had yours? Couple months?
Yeah, probably 3 months now.
Okay,
yeah.
Durability, you haven't really had any issues?
No, and you know, around here too, we've got some rocks and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I like to launch in the water most of the time, but I probably with the Ultra X would not try to launch directly from the rocks.
Yep.
But in the mud flats and stuff like that, it's perfectly
It's
fine.
no problem. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Okay, so you talked about you're able to perform some of your maneuvers with the surfboard. Let's try and talk about that wind range, because I know it's a lot of people are going to be asking about that, and I can chime in because I have had a good chance to ride this as well. But tell me what you think about as far as a wind range with the directional board.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. They say 6 to 20 knots. I think I don't know where they got that number from. But it really does obviously come down to weight, just like most kites, or all kites.
Yep.
For me, the happy area for riding and not just slogging around is probably around that 10 as a minimum. And then I can get up to I've been up to 15, 16 in this, and it doesn't feel like I'm gonna get yarded down the river. Yeah,
so I had a chance to take it out a day, and it was blowing. It started off probably around 10 to 12, and I was easily able to make it upwind with a directional surfboard. Plenty of power without even having to sign the kite up and down, just parking it and go, which is pretty impressive on a directional board or twin tip without even being on foil. And the wind had picked up a little later on, and I only weigh 145 pounds, and it definitely does well when it starts to go up a little bit. I mean, for me, I bet you if it was probably 18, maybe close to 20, I'd probably struggle a little bit, but someone that was a little bit bigger probably could be okay. And then obviously from a twin tip perspective, you can maybe, if you dig that rail in a lot more, instead of as a surfboard, you use like your fins and more of like on top of the water as you're riding it. So a little bit different as far as the load and how much power you can hold on a kite on a surfboard versus a twin tip.
How did you feel about like the turning on it? How fast it went across
Yes.
the wind window?
Okay, so turning, it's great. So doing like a transition of switching from going one direction to the other, I feel like it turns really fast for a 17 meter. I have flown previous larger kites in the back and they're very sluggish. And another thing is a huge pet peeve of mine in kites that I talk about with a lot of guys in the shop is I don't like a lot of slack in the back lines when I'm depowered and I'm turning. And that's just my preference. I like still engagement with the kite when I'm depowered, and the Zephyr really did disappoint as far as me depowering it, pulling it in, and still getting enough control over the kite.
You know, I also noticed that it doesn't backstall for
Does
17.
not backstall
It does
at all.
not backstall very, like you really got to try to backstall this thing.
Yes, yes. I mean, I lost my board upwind a little bit, and I was just kind of hanging there at 10 knots, and it just parks there and ready for you to engage and get going again. So yeah, definitely didn't notice any backstalling. Really smooth on the depower. The on and off is not as shut off as much as like the code that John was talking about. That's much more, I feel, is like shut off completely and then full power again. I feel like this is much more of a progressive. You can really feel that a little bit more. But overall, it's a super rad kite. Obviously, you can foil with it, I guess. That'd be pretty gnarly. It's probably totally doable. I'm sure some videos of people doing it. It's probably not what it's designed. You'd probably want to be on a smaller kite. So if you're on that twin tip surfboard and you want to get out on those marginal days, I think this is probably much the best option out there right now. Ozone's so great. Their quality's amazing. They own their own factory. They have total control over the design and the build of these. And as far as getting these, typically when people place an order, it's about 20-25 days. The kite's made and then delivered to you. So it's really cool how these kites are all assembled and put together.
Yeah, they test them right at the factory before they even ship them.
They test them right at the factory.
They make sure that they inflate and they're not holes in them. And yeah, they do a great job.
Yeah, so it's definitely worth it for what you're getting into it. So anyways, that's what we have for you today. We hope we found this helpful for you guys and information on the Zephyr. We're super stoked on it and glad John has had some great times on it.
Yeah, thanks.
And thanks for watching, guys. If you have any questions, leave us a comment and we'll see you guys on the next one. Later.